Now trust me, a company would not invest $60 million of their own revenues into something that they didn't fully believe in. And so now we're going to jump into this article by TechCrunch, and we're going to go through everything you need to know about this new search engine, Yep. So as I said, they're investing $60 million of their own resources into this search engine, and it has a few unique aspects to it that I think it really differentiates them from some other search engines. So one of these key aspects is the fact that Yep wants to give 90% of its ad revenues to content creators. And so it uses the example, if they're making $100 billion from the search engine, they want to give $90 billion of it back to the content creators. And so this sounds like a really interesting idea, because when other search engines like Google are making a lot of money, when they make $100 billion, they're making about $50 billion of that in profit. They're taking almost half for their own profit. A lot of content creators might not have the incentive to actually create content. I mean, if you're not getting paid for the work that you do, why would you keep doing it? Let's say that the biggest search engine in the world makes $100 billion a year. Now imagine if they gave $90 billion to content creators and publishers. The company paints a picture of the future it wants to live in. Wikipedia could probably earn a few $billion a year from its content. They'd be able to stop asking for donations and start paying the people who polish their articles a decent salary. People on Wikipedia right now just take donations, and the company itself asks for donations because there's just not revenue coming in from Wikipedia. So on the surface, this idea sounds really interesting. Now, is it actually going to work? We're just going to have to wait and see. But really quick, if you're liking the video, then hit that thumbs up for me and subscribe to the channel for a lot more web design and SEO content. So another one of the key focuses from the Yep team is user privacy. So the CEO said, "We do save certain data on searches, but never in a personally identifiable way. For example, we will track how many times a word is searched for and the position of the link getting the most clicks. But we won't create your profile for targeted advertising." So even though the company's in its early days, it's doing a really good job at building out its data centers and starting to build out its team and the software. So the company already has 1,000 servers ready to go, and it also has 100 petabytes of storage, and that's actually, each petabyte is 1,000,000 gigabytes. So they're making good progress towards building data centers and the infrastructure to actually make this search engine a reality. Now when you compare Yep's 100 petabytes to Google's about 10,000 petabytes, clearly they're not at the same level as Google yet, but how could you expect them to be at that point? I mean, this is literally breaking news. So as I mentioned earlier, building out a search engine was made a lot easier for Ahrefs because of the fact that they already have this SEO toolkit. And their SEO software and all of the systems that they have in place are actually capable of scanning 8 billion web pages a day. This is known as the Ahrefs bot, and it's being used by Yep, but they're going to replace it with the Yep bot shortly. So we'll keep you updated on that. So you might be asking, how big is this project and how many people are actually working on it? The search engine project has a team of 11, including data scientists, back-end engineers, and front-end developers. Wait, did you say 11? Yeah, I mean seriously, there are only 11 people working on this project right now, apparently. I mean, it does help that the Ahrefs software is very complementary to the search engine, but the fact that they only have 11 people was something that I found really interesting. So let's go and look at the actual search engine and see what it's all about and how it differentiates itself from Google. So I'm going to be comparing Yep and Google side to side pretty much. And one of the first things I found out when I searched something into Yep, I'm going to be using the example of cameras because I think it's pretty straightforward. I want to see what I get on Yep versus Google. So one of the first things you're going to notice when you search cameras into Yep is that you don't have all the options that you have on Google, such as images and shopping. And for something like cameras, if I was trying to look up cameras, I'm probably trying to see some pictures of cameras. I want to see some different types of cameras, maybe go shopping for cameras. And on the search engine results page for Yep, all I'm really seeing here at the top is the definition of a camera, and then maybe different websites defining cameras like Wikipedia, different types of lens for cameras. and then maybe you have some websites talking about the best types of cameras, and you have some shopping options, but it does not look anything like the Google page for cameras. On Google, obviously, at the top you have shopping, images, news, videos, maps, books. So that's a really huge difference that Google has perfected at this point. You know, they've been in the industry for a long time, they know what they're doing. But the first thing that you see on Google is all of these different types of cameras. Obviously they're ads, but it's still nice to be able to slide through some different priced cameras and look at some of the different features that they have. You're going to get obviously the Google ads for the first few, and then as you scroll down you have popular cameras that you could scroll through and see different different versions of cameras by different companies. And then you scroll down and you have some of the big retailers. Then you have people also ask, so the FAQs, and then people also search for. So you have a large variety of things that you're finding on Google besides for just the search engine results. And I found it a little strange that Yep was lacking a lot of these features, and the search engine results page, to be quite honest, is not there yet. Now I looked up one more thing out of curiosity. I searched YouTube into Yep, and you know, YouTube is not even on this page of search results. Like, I can't find just straight up youtube.com. You know, you have 100 other websites talking about YouTube, but you don't have the actual YouTube. So I'm not sure what the deal is here. Maybe it's not filtering all of the results properly. Maybe this is something that they're working towards, but as of now, I don't think that the search engine is extremely usable. And that leads me into another point, which is that Google is a full suite software. So Google has 100 other platforms. You know, obviously they own YouTube, so of course they want to put that first, but if I'm searching for YouTube, I want it to be there, obviously. And Google also has the whole workspace platform. So what that is Google Docs, Google Sheets, Google Classroom. It has 100 different platforms that make using Google so much easier and more effective. And for that reason, as of now, nothing competes with Google. It has an absolute monopoly on the industry, and that's for a good reason, because the algorithm is almost perfected at this point, and the system just works. When you search something, you have all the results you actually are looking for. You have websites that have high quality content. They actually rank for a reason, and the whole suite of software that Google offers on the side of their search engine is really what makes it so superior to any other platform right now. And that's not to say that Yep doesn't have an exciting future ahead of it, because maybe it does, and a lot of the ideas that Yep preaches, like giving away 90% of revenues to content creators, that sounds really exciting. And then Google does have some privacy concerns that are brought up all the time. Also, like Apple does and all of these other big tech companies, Facebook, you know, they're reading all of your data. They know where you are at all times, what you're talking about. And sure, you know, maybe there are some privacy concerns. So to wrap it all up, Yep is a very interesting search engine, and I think it might have a promising future ahead of it. We'll just have to see how it all plays out. As of now, I don't think it's completely usable, but maybe in the near future it will be, especially as they continue to hire more than those 11 people, and as long as they continue to put more money into it and more effort into perfecting the search algorithm. And at that point, maybe it'll have a chance of competing with Google. But really, competing with Google is not a very easy thing. You know, it's been found by multiple other tech companies that trying to compete with Google when it comes to the search engine space is not an easy task. And that's because Google is essentially a verb at this point. I'm going to Google something. So Google is pretty much ubiquitous with the search engine. Ubiquitous? I think that's the word. There's a reason that Google has such a dominant market share over the search engines. It's just so usable and it's so practical.